Hello, welcome back to Dumpster Fire. I'm Marley, and this will be the final, well, not final, but this is the final part of the Crisis on Infinite Earths review. And I'm also going to do an overview as well as what my thoughts are, just overall thoughts of the crossover. But this here is part 5, so this will be the final episode in the on the crossover event. And I really don't like this episode. Like, I thought that like all the other episodes in the crossover event will be much better than part one. Apparently not. Like this episode here, I'd say is worse than part one. Like even though part one was poorly paced, this just makes me so mad in so many ways. First, let me point out the good parts. The scene between Sarah and Barry was great, with the very emotional scene with like Sarah realizing that the one person who truly understood her is now gone, that being Oliver Queen. She has that story about how Laura would let her win because they raced to this tree or something like that. You know, it also fleshed out Oliver's impact as both a hero and a friend because he realized that Oliver was deep down was a very caring person. You know, despite the fact that he's very cold-hearted. When he started off being very cold-hearted when he first started off his crusade as the Hood or the Arrow, and eventually, you know, as he became a more she became an actual hero instead of straight up a vigilante. You know, he also changes the person as well, and he's deep down a very kind-hearted and caring person. And you know, that was reflected with Sarah and telling her story about uh, her sister and her. You know, and sharing that with Barry, it was great. It was a great scene, very emotional scene. The Oliver narration was great because we started off the crossover event in part one with the narration from the monitor, and you had all the cameos like the Titans cameo and the Earth 89 cameo with the Tim Burton Batman universe. Uh, it comes full circle here with Oliver's narration, you know, because he created a new multiverse because the multiverse was destroyed, so he has to create a new one. And in this new multiverse, Earth 2 it will be the Stargirl Earth. Earth 12 will be the Green Lantern Earth from the HBO Green Lantern show, which I can't wait for that. I can't wait for all these shows. I'm definitely gonna be watching all these shows. Then you also have Titans made an appearance again. Earth 9, you know, the Titans universe was brought back. Same with Brandon Routh Superman, that was brought back. And also confirmed that both Swamp Thing and Doom Patrol are also in the Arrowverse as well, and they're not separate Earths because people thought that Doom Patrol and Titans were on the same Earth, but they're not on the same Earth, they're on separate Earths. So it was nice to see all of the new DC shows as well as just the new DC shows be confirmed in Arrowverse because you have new shows coming soon, and it's nice that even though like the heroes now they don't know that their multiverse exists, that it's nice that they all still exist in the same Arrowverse, if anything. And also near the end of the episode, we're kind of given a hint at the Justice League because we have a Hall of Justice as well as the round table, the Justice League round table. That was also great too. I like that. And the characters that you have in the round table or just the Justice League and Arrowverse, not called the Justice League. I don't think they can use that name, but we might as well just call them that. You have the Flash, White Canary, Superman, Martian Manhunter, Batwoman, Black Lightning, and who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting one more. Uh, yeah, I'm really forgetting one more. Wait, Flash, Supergirl, Superman, Batwoman, Black Lightning, Martian Manhunter, and one other person. I don't know. Yeah, just point is that there is a Justice League now. You know, it's great. You know, I'd love to see the next crossover event be mostly focused on just this Justice League and how they bond together as a team. Now onto the bad parts. Not bad parts, just me ranting. This is just me going on a tyrant about this episode. So, where do I begin? First off, the Bebo. Just Bebo. Like, why? Like, I get the fact I can kind of see what the writers were doing here is because they wanted to have, I guess, a moment where all the new, because like all the heroes are now on the same Earth because Supergirl and Black Lightning, they're all on the same Earth, whatnot. Um, so I guess like having this whole Bebo thing, like a huge Bebo is terrorizing Central City, or was it Central City? I don't even remember what city it was in. But regardless, there's a huge Bebo terrorizing a city. Let's have all the heroes meet up. Like all the heroes are on the same Earth, all meet up. You know, to show that yeah, they're on the same Earth now. They're all working together as a team. But why do you have this? Like I get the fact that this is a Legends of Tomorrow episode, but at the same time, like what's the point of this? Like how what does this add to the story? Like it's not even a fun scene too because a huge Bebo. Like when I first watched the this episode, I saw Bebo. I'm like, what? like I was so confused. I didn't know what to think, and I was texting a friend while this was happening, and we were both watching at the same time, and we're just our not no joke. Our initial reaction we were just like, what? Like we really did not know what to think about this. Like it was so out of place, and I really don't know what to think other than why does this exist? Why did this have to happen in this episode? Like you had a very serious episode in part 4, and then you jump to part 5, and it's like crack. Like it's just crackhead energy. I don't understand. And then what makes this episode even more worse is that the Anti-Monitor comes back. So basically Oliver's sacrifice, it's not completely ruined, but Oliver's sacrifice was like partially ruined because not like why did he have to come back as well? Like okay, here's the thing. I get the fact that like there has to be 5 episodes because there were 5 CWDC shows at that time because Arrow just finished up. It just wrapped up. So you had to have 1 episode for each show that's in the Arrowverse. So part 1 was Supergirl, part 2 was Batwoman, part 3 was The Flash, part 4 was Arrow, then part 5 was Legends of Tomorrow. This episode. So I get the fact that you have to have 5 episodes, but at the same time, this was really not needed. I'm pretty sure like the CW just ran out of ideas. Like part 4 was supposed to be that ending, like it was supposed to be like the culminative ending of this crossover event, but part 5 had to exist just so they can have Legends of Tomorrow as an episode. But like, why? This was not needed. Like, if anything, it ruins part 4. Like, it ruins Oliver's. Again, it partially ruins Oliver's sacrifice because the Anti-Martyr comes back, and it ruins the episode. It ruins the episode for part 4 too because it was a very serious episode. It was a very hard hitting episode. Like imagine this. Imagine if in Avengers Endgame, Tony Stark dies. Right? Tony Stark dies. Like all of Thanos' army as well as Thanos vanishes. But then like right after that, instead of getting a funeral scene, you get like just a huge Galactus plushy bear shows up and the heroes have to stop him. Like imagine if that happened. Like you realize how stupid that would be. Like people would have walked out of the movie theater. I no joke was about to just turn off my TV because I was so mad. Like I didn't show any emotion out, but like on the inside, I was my blood was boiling on the inside when I found out that the Anti-Monitor lived, as well as Bebo, because like this ruins part 4 and it ruins Oliver's sacrifice. It's kind of like with Emperor Like spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched the new Star Wars movie, but spoiler alert: Emperor Palpatine comes back from the dead. How does he come back from the dead? We don't know. Actually, no, we do know. We're given a like. If you want to know how he comes back from the dead, you have to read a visual dictionary or a Wikipedia page in order to figure out how Emperor Palpatine came back from the dead. Because the movie doesn't explain it. All that we know is like, oh yeah, the Sith magic, dark arts. For here, we're not giving any explanation, and I really don't want to read a Wikipedia page as to how the Anti-Monitor came back from the dead. But regardless, he came back from the dead, and eventually he was not really destroyed, but the heroes use like a shrinking bomb, which shrinked him for the rest of eternity. So he's constantly shrinking. I don't care. This still ruined part 4. It ruins Oliver's sacrifice. Just like, well, not partially, not entirely, but it still ruins the sacrifice regardless. Part 4 is great. Part 5 ruined part 4. It's kind of like it's kind of like with the Star Wars, the newer Star Wars movies. The newer Star Wars movies basically ruined the first six Star Wars movies. You have, okay, episodes 1 through 6 was about Emperor. Well, the prequels were about Emperor Palpatine's plan and how the Empire came to be, and then the original trilogy was okay. It was the Anakin's redemption arc, and like the war against the Empire. In episode 6, you had Anakin sacrifice his life to save Luke and to kill the Emperor. But guess what, guys? He's back from the dead, and guess what? In the sequel trilogy, you have a bigger, badder Empire with a bigger, badder Death Star. Like it just ruined. Like I get the fact that like yes, you're gonna have splinter groups, or you're gonna have someone or something ruin the balance. Like in episode 9, Anakin Scott, like a lot of people didn't catch this, but in episode 9, Anakin Skywalker said, "You must bring back the balance as I did." Okay, so it didn't entirely ruin his sacrifice, but still kind of ruined it. Same thing here. Oliver Queen sacrificed himself to save the multiverse and destroy the Anti-Monitor. Guess what, guys? He's back from the dead. Okay, like just ruin a very important moment for a very important character. Like. I get the fact that Legends of Tomorrow is supposed to be a very comedic show, and part 5 is the Legends of Tomorrow episode for the crossover event. But my goodness, is this so bad? Like this part 5 nearly ruined the crossover. Like part 4 was great, definitely one of the best episodes in all the Arrowverse. And then you have part 5, which is one of the worst episodes in all the Arrowverse. No joke. No question at all. Like, it ruins Oliver's sacrifice, partially speaking. Again, just like how Palpatine coming back from the dead partially ruins Anakin's sacrifice and his redemption. Like, I don't know. I'm mad at this episode. That's all I can really say. Is just I'm really mad at this episode. I really wish this doesn't exist. Overall, this episode just sucks. It really sucks. It's worse than part 1. Even though part 1 was poorly paced, this was just terrible. At least in part 1, there's a story. There's stuff happening, and it actually adds to the story. This here just ruins it. It ruins it just ruins parts 4, and it ruins the entire crossover. Like this episode, like if this episode was just a standalone, like it's like, oh, this happened after this major event, but guess what, guys? The main villain's back from the dead. It just ruins. It ruins the It ruins. It's just a terrible episode on its own, and it nearly ruined the crossover. Thankfully, there are other good episodes in this crossover, but I don't know. So yeah, this is just my review / rant, more or less a rant on part 5 of Crisis on Infinite Earths. I really didn't like this episode, but I will do an overview or my overall thoughts on this crossover. So stay tuned for that.